This is where we find growth that is so outside, that is so real and such a great growth that it wasn't even our field of imagination that it could happen. Like, we have our ideas about how we can grow personally, spiritually, athletically, whatever it may be, intellectually, emotionally, but there are so many things that can unfold for us in life. We can gain insight about that can touch us, transform us, that we could have never expected. And for that, we want to open our eyes and look at life basically in awe and with wide eyes, like opening, becoming awake to more and more of all that is life. If we go into honest and open relationship to something, almost anything can basically be a teaching. All right, there's something really close to my heart that I want to share, which I've noticed today when I went through this family constellation here in Tulum, Mexico, which is we cannot, and this really goes to everyone who's been like me, who consumed tons of theory on the internet, because there's so much we can learn online. YouTube University, or YouTube as an university, has really taught me so much. Through the internet and through YouTube and finding people on YouTube, there was so much I could learn, personally, spiritually, business-wise. Like, there's really almost nothing else needed. That being said, I noticed how it has become a limiting box in my mind, where I almost degraded or disregarded first-person direct experience and meeting people, because I subconsciously assumed, and this is key, I assumed if it's worth knowing, I'll find it online. If it's worth knowing, I'll be able to go down a rabbit hole online, go into some forum, search something up on YouTube, ChatGPT it, whatever it may be, and I'll be able to find it. And even though that may not be entirely false, right now, the technology is not at a point where the internet will actually lead you to what's relevant on our path. What do I mean by that? Well, life can serve us synchronistic situations and relationships that will teach us things that we would have never ever, not in 1,000 years, okay, that's maybe an exaggeration, but in 1,000,000 years, learned online. There are things that are so subtle that are not taught explicitly, because the internet, when someone's talking in a video like me right now, it is usually very explicit, right? I'm saying this word, we understand it with the mind, we make sense of it, but a situation and a relationship can teach so much more implicitly. And there's so much information and realness that is conveyed with it, because it is a real life situation with sometimes real life stakes. And it is not only what's obviously, again, almost explicitly taught in the situation, like, oh, I lost my phone, oh, we broke up, oh, this business failed or succeeded, or whatever it may be. But it is also the implicit things like, okay, why is this situation showing up in my life again? Okay, there's this pattern that is reoccurring, or actually there was just a butterfly that flew by, and this can have a meaning that can be very far-reaching. This is a very random example, but just to make a point, that things that if you just look at them with a logical mind, like how would have butterfly flying by, or the wind breeze flowing through a certain way can have a meaning. But if it is synchronistic or in a certain order, or it means something to us and connects to certain neurocircuits and meanings and stories we've told ourselves and emotions, it can mean the world. So really what I'm encouraging you to do is, and look for, is making life our teacher. Becoming more and more open to life, and not only seeing, okay, only if it's written in a book, only if it's taught in a YouTube video, only if I see it on a forum, only if I hear it from a guru or teacher, or whatever it may be, only then it is a valid teaching. No, actually, the whole growth process of life is greater than teachings. Even the whole growth process of life happens on layers and in situations we would have never thought they could. This is where we find growth that is so outside, that is so real, and such a great growth that it wasn't even our field of imagination that it could happen. Like, we have our ideas about how we can grow personally, spiritually, athletically, whatever it may be, intellectually, emotionally, but there are so many things that can unfold for us in life, we can gain insight about, that can touch us, transform us, that we could have never expected, that we would not have even understood if someone was pointing to it in a teaching or book or whatever it may be, because it is so subtle, or something that only makes sense once it's a lived experience. And for that, we want to open our eyes and look at life basically in awe and with wide eyes, like, whoa, okay, this is like yellow cotton, like, wow, okay, like, it may sound crazy, but maybe this is actually, just being open to it, like not disregarding it, and closing our eyes and going more to sleep, but opening, becoming awake to more and more of all that is life, all that is conscious in our experience, or in our conscious experience. Like, okay, interesting, because this is really something, I've been considering to do psychedelic, to enter into a psychedelic experience. May not do it, but just the intention. I was like, okay, hey, actually, the psychedelic experience is the permission slip, basically. It's basically almost like, yeah, you could actually have this experience without any substance. It's just now you are allowing it yourself to have that experience. Of course, there's more to it, but without going into this whole discussion about permission slips and what they are and how they work, I was like, okay, actually, let's get serious about it. Let's not act, I don't want to get into this situation where I take up psychedelic and things open up and I'm like, wow, I didn't know that at all. Wow, no, actually, you already knew. Can we allow ourselves to already, even before we have a psychedelic experience or whatever it may be, do a breathwork ceremony, before we go there, because we are hoping for a big opening or insight, can we actually already realize that we are just pretending to not know? Like, we can actually already step into that experience. So recently I was in a restaurant and I watched the sunset and I was like, wow, actually, I can already tap into that experience, even if it's of course not a full-blown psychedelic trip, but it is in that moment a genuine, earnest openness that can already reveal so much. And one thing why I even mentioned this is the synchronicity of everything. Like there's this facet, maybe you've experienced this before, where just a touch of my hand right now, or seeing the wave in the ocean, or a ripple in a pool, it communicates so much. There's so much richness in it. And there's so much beauty and intelligence and synchronicity in such simple things. The way I feel the touch, I see things, how they unfold, of course, especially in nature. And that is not no coincidence, right? Like there's no coincidence here. There's when we see a wave, it's not just a dumb thing made out of matter that means nothing. Like you could say that, but also everything is perfectly orchestrated. Every single atom in that wave, or in that leaf of the tree, or how the wind is blowing, every single molecule and atom is touched by an infinite chain of causes and conditions, and perfectly orchestrated through the laws of physics, and how the Fibonacci sequence and all these mathematical formulas that you could apply to just explain a single leaf falling from a tree, or a single wave, or a single finger growing from our hands, how the blood is pumping. Like all of this could be probably explained by dozens or thousands or millions of mathematical formulas and physical calculations. Like all of these things, they are caused by something, and they are happening in synchronicity and in connection to everything else. Like I've heard once a physicist say that if I jump right now, the gravitational pull that I am creating by lifting up is moving an atom on the other side of the world, even if it's just a millions, billions of a nanometer or millimeter. Like even if it's just the tiniest fraction at all, there is a connection. So what we can notice is that everything we are doing is actually perfect, or like not perfect, but it's in flow, it's synchronistic. And that is something we can kind of tap into. And the more aware, conscious, and awake we become, the more clear that becomes, and the more kind of self-evident it becomes. And what was all this high tension about? Well, it was about let's open our focus from this narrow focus and maybe even rigidness on online teachings or books to the whole of life, like everything, even the movement of a leaf or the touch of us. It can mean so much, and it is really a first-hand experience. And even if we don't go to that extreme of just being in synchronicity and blah 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 blah, like what initially sparked this conversation and communion with you is I went out today and I thought, okay, I'm meeting these foreign people or strangers at this family constellation, and okay, what's gonna happen. I learned a lot online. Like, okay, I know kind of at this point I've tried emotional healing. Like, is there even anything new that could happen or that I don't already know? Is it even more effective? Like, just the arrogance of the mind, blabbering and creating separation. And then things opened up that I could not have expected. And later, I spoke with the facilitator of that family constellation. And, I don't know where it may lead, but he shared 2 contacts with me, with something I haven't even heard about. It sounded very interesting. And it may not lead to anything. Or like last year, when I met someone in Thailand who recommended me just one guy. His name is Detlef Rehbein from Emotional Energetics and the book Feel and Heal Yourself, which entirely changed my life and entirely changed the trajectory of the whole of all my pursuits, everything from growing the advertising agency that I was running back then, to the romantic relationships that I was chasing, to even enlightenment that I was looking for. All of these pursuits, the things that most matter to me in life, all of it was fundamentally by the root turned upside on its head, and a profoundly new perspective was introduced to the picture. And that only happened because I got off my ass in my house where I spent so much time behind my computer screen, traveled to freaking Thailand based off an intuitive hunch which felt expansive. I got 2 invites, so it was made perfectly clear by the universe. Not perfectly clear, but it was an intuitive nudge enough to say, okay, I did not only get 1 invite to Thailand, but I got a second one to a retreat as well from friends and from a retreat. And I feel this expansion, this light expansion in my chest. All right, let's just fuck it, let's go. And then when I went to Thailand and spent the couple months there for the first time outside of my country, which was a huge leap of faith. I almost didn't do it. There were so many things that unfolded that I was gifted. Honestly, I could do a whole video about how transformative that time was there and how much it changed my life. But aside from this lived experience, there was also this person I've met. And by asking curious questions, because he resonated with me, I was like, hey, how is it that you are so calm and like centered in yourself? He ended up recommending me this guy Detlef from Feel and Heal Yourself, and I started working. After I had like a heartbreak, I initially didn't reach out to him, but later I did. And when I did, I started working with him in weekly one-on-one sessions, and now for almost 2 years, I've been working with him almost on a weekly basis. And as I mentioned, it has basically transformed almost every facet of my life. So basically, the bottom line is, let's open ourselves that any and everything can like magic can be in every corner of the universe, where we least expect it. On a trip with our parents, we may just go into a bar and talk to a stranger, and he may just say one word, and it can release, point us to so many things. It can change our life, can change and transform in any moment, at any point, and blindside us. And that is exactly where most growth happens. Most growth and transformation and revolution does not happen where we expect it, where we plan it with our mind, where we get it with our mind, but it is where it blindsides us, where we have no idea and we are awestruck. It goes maybe even against anything that previously we thought is how things work, or how they should be, or who's credible and what is the teaching, and anything, if we go into quote unquote, if we go in honest and open relationship to something, almost anything can basically be a teaching. And I think I'm so passionate about it because there's this certain pain that I'm feeling of, wow, why was my mind so arrogant? Why did I create the separation to the people initially? And I didn't need to do that, and I don't need to be so surprised about it. I can already step into the genuineness even before having such an experience that proves it. Of course, these proving experiences, the more we have, the more we at least give up our mind and open more up. But yeah, at some point we can also do it beforehand. And yeah, that is a great relief. And thank you for listening. And I'm gonna go to bed now. Good night.